Welcome to Histosleep, a place where every gentle sound guides you toward peace, and every moment helps you drift into deep, restful sleep. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight, dear listener. Settle in now. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Feel the quiet space around you, the gentle air on your skin, the steady support beneath your body. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to solve. Just this moment, just this breath. Take a slow breath in through your nose, as if you are drawing in the tide from a distant shore, and let it go gently, like the tide slipping back into the sea. Inhale, soft and unhurried. Exhale, long and easy. Again, inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Our story today sets sail at the edge of a tiny coastal village in Karnataka, where the land meets the wide Arabian Sea, and the day is slowly folding itself into evening. The heat of the afternoon has softened. The sun is no longer fierce. It lingers low in the sky, painting everything in gold and rose, and a touch of fading amber. You are arriving just as the light turns gentle. The path beneath your feet is warm, but no longer hot. The air carries a faint sweetness, a trace of salt from the sea, and something floral drifting from somewhere unseen. Ahead, the shoreline curves in a quiet crescent. The Arabian Sea breathes in and out, steady and patient. Waves roll forward, then sigh back again, smoothing the sand in a rhythm older than memory. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The village rests along this curve of coast, as though it has always belonged here. Small houses with tiled roofs sit tucked among coconut palms. Their walls glow softly in the evening light. A few fishing boats rest on the sand, pulled safely ashore after a long day. Nets are stretched out to dry, catching the last orange threads of sunlight. You begin to walk. Your bare feet sink slightly into cool sand. Each step leaves a faint imprint that the sea will gently erase later. There is no rush, no urgency. The only rhythm is the waves, always. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. A breeze moves through the coconut palms, and the fronds answer with a soft rustle, like distant whispers. Somewhere behind one of the houses, a door opens and closes. The scent of jasmine drifts into the air, delicate and sweet. It mingles with the salt breeze, creating a fragrance that feels both grounding and dreamlike. Far in the distance, temple bells begin to ring. The sound is faint, carried by the wind, slow and measured. Each tone rises and fades without hurry. The bells do not demand attention. They simply exist, like the waves, like the sky, like your breath. Crickets begin their steady rhythm as the light dims further. Their song weaves itself between the sound of water and wind. You notice how naturally your breathing has matched the sea. Inhale, the tide comes in. Exhale, the tide flows out. If these quiet tales are helping you drift off, a gentle like or a silent subscribe would mean the world. It helps this sleepy corner of the internet reach others who need a little calm too. I always wonder, where in the world are you listening from right now? If you're still awake, leave a whisper of a comment, maybe your city and the time on your clock. It is a beautiful thing, this quiet little global gathering, all connected through stories and stillness. Now, let us set the mood, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and get comfortable. Now, the evening deepens. You continue walking along the shoreline. The sky shifts from gold to a deeper rose, then to lavender, then to the first hint of indigo. The horizon line between sea and sky begins to blur. Fishing boats rock gently where they are anchored. Their wooden hulls creak softly as they settle. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. You pass a small courtyard where an elderly villager sits on a woven mat. A simple lantern glows beside him, its flame steady and warm. His hair is silver, his posture is relaxed. He watches the sea as though it is an old friend. When he speaks, his voice is low and unhurried. It carries the softness of someone who has no need to raise it. You settle onto the sand a short distance away, close enough to hear, far enough to remain in your own quiet space. He began to speak long ago, not in dates or facts, not in lessons or instruction, but in images. He speaks of stone temples glowing in golden light, of tall carved pillars that caught the morning sun and held it like warmth in their ancient surfaces. He speaks of markets filled with silk that shimmered like water, and spices that perfumed the air in deep, earthy tones. As he speaks, the waves continue their patient rhythm. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The old man's words begin to paint another place in your mind. A place inland, a place of stone and river and sky. He speaks of the ancient city of Hampi, where great kings once walked across wide courtyards of sun-warmed rock. He speaks of carved chariots and temple towers rising against a vast blue sky. He speaks of the steady flow of the Tungabhadra River, winding through the land like a silver ribbon. His voice does not rise or fall dramatically. It simply flows like water over smooth stone. As you listen, the village around you begins to soften at the edges. The lantern light blurs gently. The sound of crickets becomes more distant. The waves grow louder, or perhaps closer. You are still on the shore, and yet you begin to feel as though you are also somewhere else. The sand beneath you feels warmer now, like sunlit stone. The breeze carries less salt and more earth. When you open your mind's eye, you see tall pillars stretching toward a moonlit sky. Fireflies glow between ancient ruins. The air is calm. The stone holds the memory of warmth from the day. The storyteller's voice blends with the sea. Waves, words, waves, words. You stand among warm stone temples. Moonlight rests gently on carved surfaces. The great courtyards are empty now, quiet and vast. There is no crowd, no noise, only wind moving softly through open spaces. Then, as a wave recedes, you are back by the sea. Then, as another wave arrives, you are again beneath towering pillars in ancient Hampi. Back and forth, sea and stone, present and past. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The rhythm slows. The storyteller's voice grows softer, as though he too is becoming part of the night. One by one, lanterns in the village begin to dim. The door closes gently. Footsteps fade indoors. The boats settle fully into stillness. The moon rises higher above the Arabian Sea. Its reflection trembles on the surface of the water, stretching in a silver path toward the horizon. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. The storyteller's voice becomes little more than a murmur now, blending fully with the waves. The images of stone temples and moonlit courtyards fade into a soft impression of warmth and quiet. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. There are fewer words, longer pauses, just the sound of water arriving and leaving, arriving and leaving. Inhale, exhale. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. And the sea keeps watch through the night. And you remain there, dear listener, resting at the quiet edge of the world where water meets sand, where memory meets dream, where the present moment stretches wide and unbroken. The waves continue their patient rhythm. They do not rush. They do not hesitate. They rise and fall with the same calm certainty they have carried for centuries. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The moonlight grows softer as your thoughts grow softer. The elderly storyteller has fallen silent now. His lantern has dimmed to a faint golden glow, then to a small ember, and finally to darkness. The woven mat is empty. The courtyard rests. The palms sway gently overhead. their long leaves brushing against one another with a sound like quiet silk. You are still walking, though it no longer feels like walking. It feels like drifting. The shoreline stretches before you in a silver curve. Your footprints are lighter now. The sand is cooler. A thin layer of mist gathers near the water's edge, catching the moonlight in a faint shimmer. You pause and listen. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. Far out at sea, a small fishing boat rocks gently, tethered and secure. Its movement is slow and steady, matching the breath of the ocean. You notice how your own breath has grown slower to deeper, easier. Inhale, the tide comes in. Exhale, the tide flows out. With each breath, the space between your thoughts widens. The mind loosens its grip. There is nothing to analyze, nothing to remember, just the sound of waves folding into shore and slipping back again. And as you stand there, the boundary between shore and stone begins to soften once more. The cool sand beneath your feet slowly warms, becoming smooth rock, wide and steady. The scent of salt gives way to the faint mineral scent of ancient stone. The sea's whisper blends with the distant hush of wind moving through temple corridors. You find yourself again within the gentle vastness of Hampi. This time it is later, deeper into night. The moon rests high above carved towers and silent courtyards. The stone pathways glow faintly silver. No footsteps echo here now. No market voices. No royal processions, only stillness. You move slowly across a broad courtyard where tall pillars stand in perfect rows. Each pillar holds delicate carvings, softened by centuries of sun and rain. When your fingers trace the surface, you feel warmth lingering from the day. It seeps gently into your palm. A breeze drifts through the open space, carrying the faint sound of the Tungabhadra River flowing beyond the ruins. You cannot see it from here, but you know it is there, moving steadily, always moving, just like the sea. Just like your breath. Inhale, the tide comes in. Exhale, the tide flows out. A single firefly flickers near the base of a stone archway, then another. Their small lights blink on and off, slow and unhurried, like tiny lanterns guiding you deeper into rest. You sit upon a wide stone step. The rock is smooth and welcoming. Above you, the sky stretches wide and clear. The stars are sharp and steady. There is no wind strong enough to disturb them. They simply shine. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The memory of the village by the Arabian Sea remains within you. You can still hear the waves, faint but steady, as though they have followed you inland. Their rhythm echoes beneath the silence of the temple courtyard. sea and stone, water and pillar, breath and stillness. You do not need to choose where you are. You can be in both places at once. You can sit on warm stone beneath ancient stars, while the sea continues its gentle breathing in the distance. The mind relaxes when it does not need to decide. The body relaxes when it feels safe. You are safe here. The moonlight shifts slightly, casting long shadows across the courtyard floor. The pillars stand like quiet guardians. No one demands anything from you. No voice calls your name. No task waits to be done. Only the river flows. Only the waves roll. Only the night deepens. Inhale like the tide coming in, slow and steady. Exhale like the tide flowing out, long and easy. Your shoulders soften further. Your hands grow warm and heavy. Your eyelids feel comfortably weighted, as though they too are made of smooth stone resting in moonlight. The ancient city does not sleep in the way people do. It rests, it breathes, it remembers, and you, dear listener, are allowed to rest as well. Gradually, the courtyard begins to fade at the edges. The pillars blur gently. The fireflies drift upward and disappear into the stars. The warm stone cools slightly beneath you. The sound of the Tungabhadra River blends once more with the sea. Water over rock, water over sand, always moving, always returning. The scene shifts again without effort. You are back by the Arabian Sea. The shoreline is quiet now. The mist has thinned. The tide has drawn slightly farther out, leaving a smooth expanse of wet sand that mirrors the sky. The village is fully asleep. Windows are dark. Doors are closed. Fishing nets lie folded. The elderly storyteller rests inside his home, wrapped in soft cotton cloth, breathing slowly like the sea itself. The palms sway gently. Crickets continue their steady rhythm, softer now, as if they too are growing drowsy. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. You walk no more. You simply stand and feel the steady pulse of the world around you. The night air cools your skin. The moon's reflection trembles on the water. Inhale, exhale. Each breath carries you deeper into comfort. There is nothing unfinished here. The boats are secure. The nets are drying. The lanterns are dark. The temples inland are silent beneath the stars. Everything is as it should be. The waves slow. Your breath slows. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. Let your body grow heavy, like smooth stone warmed by the sun and cooled by night air. Let your thoughts drift like small boats, untethered, moving gently out toward a quiet horizon. No need to follow them, no need to hold them. Just let them float. The moon climbs higher. The tide shifts softly. The breeze moves through the palms in one last gentle whisper, and the sea keeps watch through the night. The tide has settled into a slower rhythm now, as though it too is growing drowsy. Each wave arrives with a softened hush, brushing the shore with barely a sound before retreating again. The water glows faintly beneath the moon, silver laid over blue, calm and endless. You find a quiet place on the sand and lower yourself down. The ground is cool but comforting, shaped gently by the patient hands of the sea. When you lie back, the sky opens above you, vast and clear. The stars feel close enough to touch, scattered like quiet lanterns across the darkness. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Your breathing is steady now, natural and slow. You do not need to guide it anymore. It guides itself. Somewhere behind you, in the sleeping village, along the coast of Karnataka, a wooden shutter shifts slightly in the breeze and then becomes still. A palm leaf brushes another. A fishing rope taps gently against the side of a boat. These sounds are small and harmless. They fold easily into the quiet. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The sea continues to breathe, and as you lie there, suspended between earth and sky, you feel the gentle pull of memory again. Not a sharp memory, not a detailed memory, just the soft impression of warm stone beneath your fingers, the echo of a river flowing beyond ancient walls. For a moment, without moving at all, you are once again within the moonlit courtyards of Hampi. The pillars stand silent. The carved figures etched into stone seem almost alive in the shifting light. The breeze drifts through open archways, carrying the faint scent of earth and river water. The Tungabhadra flows steadily, unseen but always present. The sound of that river blends perfectly with the sea. River and ocean, stone and sand, past and present. They are not separate now. They are layers of the same quiet world, resting together beneath the same sky. You do not need to walk through the ruins. You do not need to explore. You simply exist there, the way moonlight exists there, softly, without effort. The great courtyards are empty, but they do not feel lonely. They feel spacious, open, peaceful, as if they have been waiting for stillness all along. Inhale, exhale. The stone beneath you, whether sand or temple floor, feels steady and secure. It holds you without question. It does not shift. It does not demand anything from you. Your hands are warm and heavy now. Your legs feel comfortably supported. Your eyelids may already be resting closed, and if they are, that is perfectly fine. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. The moon begins its slow arc across the sky. Though you do not see it move, you only sense time passing gently like a current beneath the surface. The tide eases a little farther back, revealing smooth sand that gleams like polished stone. In the inland silence of ancient Hampi, the same moonlight spills across quiet temples. The same stars hover overhead. The same breeze travels across open land before finally reaching the shore. Everything is connected by this stillness. The elderly storyteller sleeps deeply now. Perhaps he dreams of markets filled with silk and spice. Perhaps he dreams of temple bells ringing in bright morning air. Or perhaps he dreams of nothing at all, resting in the simple comfort of the night. You do not need dreams yet. You only need rest. Let your thoughts slow to the pace of the waves. If one arises, notice it gently, the way you would notice a small boat on the horizon, and then let it drift away without following. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The palms sway once more, softer than before. The cricket's rhythm becomes faint and distant. Even the sea seems quieter now, as though it has lowered its voice to a whisper meant only for you. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. Feel how your body sinks just slightly deeper, as though the sand has welcomed you fully, as though the stone has molded itself perfectly to your shape. There is nothing left to picture, nothing left to imagine, just the steady rise and fall of breath, just the gentle hush of water touching shore, just the quiet presence of night stretching peacefully in every direction. And somewhere far inland, ancient temples rest beneath the same moon, their pillars cool and silent, their courtyards wide and empty, holding centuries of calm within their stone. And here, along the Arabian Sea, the waves continue their watch, slow, steady, endless. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. You can rest now. And the sea keeps watch through the night. Nothing disturbs its quiet devotion. Not the passing of hours, not the turning of the tide. The waves move in their ancient rhythm, patient and steady, as they have for centuries along this gentle shore. You remain resting on the sand, aware only of comfort now. The ground beneath you feels perfectly shaped, as if it has been waiting for you. The air is neither warm nor cool, but balanced, easy against your skin. Your breath flows without effort. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The village behind you is wrapped in sleep. Tiled rooftops glow faintly under moonlight. Coconut palms stand tall and relaxed, their fronds barely moving, A fishing boat shifts slightly as the tide adjusts, with softly brushing water, then settling again. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. Far inland, beneath the same sky, the quiet stones of Hampi continue to hold the memory of sunlight. The pillars and courtyards rest in silver light. The Tungabhadra River flows beside them, smooth and untroubled, reflecting stars in its dark surface. For a moment, you sense both places at once. The cool sand beneath you, the warm stone beneath you, the hush of the sea, the hush of ancient temples. They blend together gently, like two soft notes, forming a single tone. Your breathing grows slower, longer, softer. There is a comfort in repetition. The wave arrives, the wave recedes, the river flows, the breeze drifts. Nothing rushes forward, nothing pulls you away. If a thought rises, it rises slowly, like a ripple across still water, and just as slowly it smooths itself out again. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You are safe. The moon begins its slow arc across the sky. Though you do not see it move, you only sense time passing gently, like a current beneath the surface. The tide eases a little farther back, revealing smooth sand that gleams like polished stone. In the inland silence of ancient Hampi, the same moonlight spills across quiet temples. The same stars hover overhead. The same breeze travels across open land before finally reaching the shore. Everything is connected by this stillness. The elderly storyteller sleeps deeply now. Perhaps he dreams of markets filled with silk and spice. Perhaps he dreams of temple bells ringing in bright morning air. Or perhaps he dreams of nothing at all, resting in the simple comfort of the night. You do not need dreams yet. You only need rest. Let your thoughts slow to the pace of the waves. If one arises, notice it gently, the way you would notice a small boat on the horizon, and then let it drift away without following. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The palms sway once more, softer than before. The cricket's rhythm becomes faint and distant. Even the sea seems quieter now, as though it has lowered its voice to a whisper meant only for you. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. Feel how your body sinks just slightly deeper, as though the sand has welcomed you fully, as though the stone has molded itself perfectly to your shape. There is nothing left to picture, nothing left to imagine, just the steady rise and fall of breath, just the gentle hush of water touching shore, just the quiet presence of night stretching peacefully in every direction. And somewhere far inland, ancient temples rest beneath the same moon. their pillars cool and silent, their courtyards wide and empty, holding centuries of calm within their stone. And here, along the Arabian Sea, the waves continue their watch, slow, steady, endless. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You are safe. You can rest now. And the sea keeps watch through the night. Nothing disturbs its quiet devotion, not the passing of hours, not the turning of the tide. The waves move in their ancient rhythm, patient and steady, as they have for centuries along this gentle shore. You remain resting on the sand, aware only of comfort now. The ground beneath you feels perfectly shaped, as if it has been waiting for you. The air is neither warm nor cool, but balanced, easy against your skin. Your breath flows without effort. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The village behind you is wrapped in sleep. Tiled rooftops glow faintly under moonlight. Coconut palms stand tall and relaxed, their fronds barely moving. A fishing boat shifts slightly as the tide adjusts, wood softly brushing water, then settling again. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. Far inland, beneath the same sky, the quiet stones of Hampi continue to hold the memory of sunlight. The pillars and courtyards rest in silver light. The Tungabhadra River flows beside them, smooth and untroubled, reflecting stars in its dark surface. For a moment, you sense both places at once. The cool sand beneath you, the warm stone beneath you, the hush of the sea, the hush of ancient temples. They blend together gently, like two soft notes, forming a single tone. Your breathing grows slower, longer, softer. There is a comfort in repetition. The wave arrives, the wave recedes, the river flows, the breeze drifts. Nothing rushes forward, nothing pulls you away. If a thought rises, it rises slowly, like a ripple across still water, and just as slowly it smooths itself out again. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You are safe. A thin veil of cloud passes briefly across the moon, softening its glow. The world dims slightly, then brightens again as the cloud moves on. Even this change feels gentle. Even this movement feels slow enough to rest inside. The palms murmur faintly. The crickets hum their steady lullaby. The tide slides closer once more, a little higher up the sand, then eases back. Inhale, exhale. Your body feels heavy now in the most comforting way, not weighed down, but anchored, supported, as though the earth itself is holding you carefully, making sure you do not drift too far. And yet your mind feels light, spacious, open. If you imagine turning your head slightly, You can see the curve of the shoreline stretching into darkness. No harsh lights, no sharp sounds. Only a silver path across the water leading toward the horizon. That silver path seems to connect everything. It touches the sea, it touches the sand, it touches the ancient stones of inland temples. It touches you. You do not need to follow it. It is enough to know it is there. The elderly storyteller sleeps peacefully in his small home in Karnataka. Perhaps the faint echo of his own stories lingers in the air. Stories of kings walking through wide courtyards, stories of markets filled with silk and spice, stories of rivers winding through ancient lands. But tonight there is no need for more stories. This is enough. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. Feel how your breath has become almost silent. Feel how your muscles have softened completely. Your hands are warm and still. Your shoulders are loose. Your forehead is smooth. The tide continues its patient motion, but it feels farther away now, as though you are sinking into a deeper layer of quiet, where even sound becomes gentle and distant. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Long pause. The sky above remains steady. The stars do not flicker wildly. They glow with calm certainty. The moon keeps its quiet watch, just as the sea does. And somewhere beyond sight, the Tungabhadra River flows past ancient stone, carrying moonlight along its surface. River and ocean, separate yet connected, both moving in their own time. Everything is as it should be. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. You can rest now. And through the quiet hours, through the slow turning of the night, the sea keeps watch. And the night deepens in the softest way possible. The tide has shifted again, not dramatically, not urgently, but in that slow, patient way that belongs only to water. A thin line of foam traces the edge of the shore, glows faintly in moonlight, and then disappears as the wave withdraws. You are still resting comfortably on the sand. Perhaps you are aware now only of the rise and fall of your chest, the steady rhythm of breath that mirrors the rhythm of the sea. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Your body feels heavier than before in the most comforting way, as though the earth beneath you has gently drawn you closer, offering quiet support. The muscles in your face are soft. Your tongue rests easily. Your hands are loose and still. Behind you, the small coastal village in Karnataka remains wrapped in deep sleep. No doors open, no footsteps pass. Even the palms seem to have settled, their long fronds barely stirring. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The Arabian Sea continues its endless breathing. For a while, you simply listen. Wave, pause, wave, pause. And then, as if carried on that pause between waves, your awareness drifts again inland, not sharply, not suddenly, just gently, like mist moving across land. You find yourself standing once more among the ancient stones of Hampi, but this time the scene feels even quieter. The courtyards are wide and open, bathed in silver light. The carved pillars cast long, soft shadows across smooth ground. The air is still. The night here is vast and patient. You walk slowly along the stone pathway. Each step makes no sound. The stone feels cool now, having released the warmth it held from the day. Your fingers brush lightly across a carved surface. The grooves are shallow and worn from centuries of wind and rain. There is something deeply calming about stone that has stood for so long. It does not rush, it does not worry, it simply exists. And in its presence, your mind begins to quiet even further. Inhale, exhale. You hear the faint murmur of the Tungabhadra River beyond the temple grounds. It flows steadily, like a lullaby that has been sung for generations. Its surface reflects the moon in broken pieces of light. River and sea, stone and sand, the same moon shining over both. You realize that nothing here demands your attention. You are not required to explore every corner. You are not expected to understand the history. The ancient city rests without explanation. It is enough to stand in its stillness. The breeze moves softly through open archways, slipping between pillars, brushing across courtyards, and continuing on its quiet journey toward the distant coast. Perhaps it will reach the sea again before dawn. Perhaps it already has. Your breathing is slow now, almost imperceptible. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The scene begins to blend once more. The cool stone beneath your feet becomes cool sand. The distant river becomes the nearby sea. The carved pillars become silhouettes of coconut palms. You are back on the shore. The night feels deeper now, thicker, softer. A faint mist gathers low over the water, diffusing the moonlight into a gentle glow. The horizon is barely visible. The world feels smaller in the best possible way. Contained, protected, the village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. Somewhere far out on the water, a small wave rises and falls without ever reaching the shore. You do not see it. You only sense that movement exists beyond your awareness, steady and untroubled. Time has loosened its grip. Minutes no longer matter. There is only rhythm. Wave, breath, wave, breath. Your thoughts now are like smooth pebbles resting at the bottom of clear water. They do not tumble, they do not collide, they simply rest. The elderly storyteller sleeps peacefully, unaware that his gentle words have carried you across centuries and landscapes tonight. His small lantern is dark. His woven mat lies rolled neatly by the wall. The boats remain anchored. The nets remain folded. The palms remain still. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The tide inches forward again, just enough for a thin ribbon of water to glide closer to where you lie. It does not reach you. It simply reminds you that the sea is near, that it is present. Your body feels as though it could dissolve into the sand, into the shore, into the quiet earth itself. There is no tension left to release, no thought left to untangle, just the steady hush of water and the quiet watch of the moon. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. And through the deepening night, beneath silver sky and drifting mist, the sea keeps watch. The night stretches wider now, like a soft blanket pulled gently over the world. The air feels cooler, but only slightly, just enough to feel refreshing against your skin. The sand beneath you has settled completely, holding your shape as though it has memorized you. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The rhythm is slower than before, not because you are trying, but because your body has chosen it. Your breathing has found its own calm pace, matching the sea without effort. The village behind you remains still. In the quiet homes along the shore of Karnataka, families sleep beneath cotton sheets. Windows are open just enough to let in the salt air. The faint scent of jasmine lingers, softer now, almost blended into memory. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The moon has moved slightly across the sky. Its reflection stretches differently on the water now, a shimmering path that trembles gently with each small wave. If you were to watch closely, you would see that no two reflections are ever exactly the same. Yet the pattern remains steady, just like breathing, just like rest. For a moment, you become aware of the space between waves, that quiet pause after the water reaches the shore and before it draws back again. That pause feels important. It feels like the still point between inhale and exhale. You rest in that pause. No movement, no expectation, just quiet suspension. And as you rest there, your awareness drifts inland once more, carried not by effort, but by softness. You find yourself again within the ancient embrace of Hampi, but this time the night feels even deeper. The temple courtyards are bathed in a softer shade of silver. The pillars stand tall and patient, The carvings seem almost to breathe in the moonlight. The air is cool and still, undisturbed by footsteps. You walk slowly across a broad stone platform. Your movement is effortless, silent. The stone beneath your feet is smooth, worn gently by centuries of passing time. It does not resist you. It supports you completely. There is a comfort in something that has endured so long. Stone does not hurry. The river does not strain. The moon does not rush. And you do not need to rush either. Inhale, exhale. The faint murmur of the Tungabhadra River reaches you again, flowing beside the ancient city with calm devotion. Its surface carries broken fragments of moonlight downstream, steady and untroubled. River and sea, two bodies of water, separated by distance, joined by rhythm. You sit upon a low stone step and simply listen. No voices echo here tonight. No markets hum. No temple bells ring. Only the quiet breath of the river and the wide stillness of the open sky. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The ancient city feels less like a place and more like a feeling now. A feeling of spaciousness, of steadiness, of time stretching wide enough to hold everything without pressure. You notice how light your mind feels, how soft your thoughts have become. They drift through you like faint clouds crossing the moon, present for a moment, then gone. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Gradually, without effort, the stone beneath you begins to soften into sand once more. The quiet murmur of the river becomes the hush of the Arabian Sea. The carved pillars become the silhouettes of coconut palms against the night sky. You are back at the shore. The tide has drawn slightly farther out now, leaving behind a smooth mirror of wet sand. The stars reflect faintly in it, as though the sky has gently lowered itself closer to earth. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. A breeze moves lightly across the shoreline, barely lifting the edge of your clothing. It carries with it the faintest echo of inland earth, as though it has traveled from temple stones to open water in one long, unbroken sigh. Your body feels heavier still, comfortably heavy, as if gravity itself has softened, cradling you rather than pulling you. Your hands are warm. Your legs are loose. Your jaw is relaxed. The waves seem farther away now, though they have not changed. It is simply that you are drifting deeper into rest, where sound becomes distant and gentle. Inhale, exhale. The pause between breaths grows longer. The pause between waves grows longer. Everything slows. Everything softens. The elderly storyteller continues to sleep peacefully, unaware that his quiet words have woven together sea and stone and moonlight into this single moment of calm. His small home rests under the same sky, its walls holding warmth from the day. The boats remain secure, the nets remain folded, the palms remain still. Nothing needs tending, nothing needs fixing. The world is resting, and you are allowed to rest with it. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You can rest now. The moon climbs a little higher. The mist over the water thins. The horizon remains soft and endless. Your breathing is now so gentle that it feels like a whisper inside you. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. And through every quiet hour that follows, through the slow turning of night toward distant dawn, the sea keeps watch, and the sea keeps watch. The hours of the night drift by, unnoticed, like clouds moving across a wide and patient sky. There is no need to measure them, no need to follow them. Time here is soft, almost weightless. You remain resting at the shoreline, your body completely at ease. The sand has cooled further now, but it feels comforting, steady beneath you. The tide has shifted again, its edge tracing delicate patterns that will fade before morning. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The rhythm is so natural now that it feels as though the sea is breathing for you, or perhaps you are breathing for the sea. It no longer matters which. The two have become one slow, steady motion. Behind you, the quiet village along the coast of Karnataka remains wrapped in deep rest. The homes are dark and peaceful. The palms stand like gentle guardians over sleeping rooftops. Somewhere inside, someone turns slightly in their sleep, then settles again. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The moonlight has softened, its brightness mellowed into a silvery haze. The reflection across the Arabian Sea stretches like a quiet path into the distance, shimmering faintly with each small movement of water. You notice how even the smallest wave carries light, even the smallest breath carries calm. Far inland, beneath that same fading moon, the ancient stones of Hampi continue to rest in silence. The pillars cast long shadows across empty courtyards. The Tungabhadra River flows steadily beside them, its surface smooth as silk. For a moment, your awareness drifts there once more. You stand at the edge of a wide temple platform. The stone beneath your feet feels cool and grounding. The air is still. The carvings along the walls seem to glow softly in the moonlight, their edges worn smooth by centuries of wind. You do not move. You do not need to. The quiet here is complete. Inhale, exhale. The river flows. A breeze passes gently through the open corridor of pillars. touching your skin like a soft whisper. It carries the faint scent of earth and water. You feel entirely unhurried, as though the world itself has slowed to match your breath. There is no past here, no future, only this wide, open stillness. And then, just as gently, the stone begins to soften again beneath you. The cool temple floor becomes cool sand. The distant murmur of the river becomes the hush of waves returning to shore. You are back by the Arabian Sea. The tide is slightly lower now. The shoreline stretches wider, revealing smooth sand that reflects the last light of the moon. A faint hint of pale blue has begun to gather at the edge of the sky, barely noticeable, like the earliest whisper of dawn. But night still holds its quiet. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. Your body feels deeply relaxed now, as though it has melted into the earth. Your thoughts are slow and spacious. If one appears, it moves gently, without urgency, and dissolves like foam at the water's edge. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The cricket's song has softened further. The breeze is barely there. Even the sea seems to have lowered its voice, its waves brushing the shore with the lightest touch. You feel held by the sand, held by the air, held by the rhythm of water that has moved this way for longer than memory. Far inland, the temples of Hampi remain in peaceful shadow. The ancient city does not stir. The river continues its steady course, untroubled and sure. The same sky arches above both river and sea, connecting them in one seamless night. Everything is connected by this calm. Everything is connected by this breath. Inhale, exhale. The pause between breaths grows long and comfortable. The pause between waves grows long and comfortable. There is nothing left to imagine, nothing left to add, only the steady presence of night. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You can rest now. The faint blue at the horizon remains distant, not yet strong enough to change the world. The moon lingers, the stars remain, and through these final quiet stretches of night, with temples inland and boats along the shore resting under the same sky, the sea keeps watch. The night has settled into its deepest hour now. This is the time when even thoughts grow quiet, when the world feels suspended, as if it is floating gently between yesterday and tomorrow. You remain resting along the shore of the Arabian Sea, the sand cool and steady beneath you. The tide has drawn back slightly, revealing a wider stretch of smooth earth that glows faintly under moonlight. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Your breathing is slow and natural. It no longer needs guidance. It moves on its own, steady and soft, like the rhythm of water against land. Behind you, the small village in Karnataka remains wrapped in peaceful darkness. The narrow paths between homes are empty. The woven fishing nets lie folded and untouched. Wooden boats rest securely where they were pulled ashore before sunset. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. A faint breeze moves across the shoreline, brushing gently over your skin, carrying the scent of salt and distant earth. It feels neither cool nor warm. It simply feels present. The palms sway almost imperceptibly now. Their long fronds make the softest sound, like fabric shifting in a quiet room, somewhere far down the beach. A single wave breaks slightly louder than the others, then returns to its steady hush. Nothing startles you. Nothing pulls you away from this calm. Far inland, beneath the same wide sky, the ancient stones of Hampi continue their silent rest. The temple towers stand tall against the fading moon. The courtyards remain open and spacious, holding only shadow and silver light. The Tungabhadra River flows steadily beside the ruins, its surface smooth and dark, reflecting stars in scattered fragments. The river does not hurry toward the sea. It simply follows its path. River and ocean, separate journeys, shared rhythm. Inhale, exhale. For a moment, your awareness drifts there once more. You find yourself walking slowly along a stone corridor lined with carved pillars. Your steps are unhurried, soundless. The air feels cool and clear. Each pillar holds delicate patterns, worn smooth by time. You pause and rest your hand against the stone. It feels solid and reassuring, as though it carries centuries of quiet within it. There is something deeply soothing about places that have endured. They remind you that stillness can last, that calm can remain. You sit upon a low temple step and look upward. The sky above Hampi is wide and filled with stars. No artificial light dims them. They shine clearly, gently, as if breathing along with you. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The faint sound of the river reaches you again, flowing beyond the temple grounds. It blends effortlessly with the distant hush of waves from the coast, and gradually, without effort, the stone beneath you softens once more into sand. The cool temple air becomes the salt-kissed breeze of the Arabian Sea. You are back at the shoreline. The horizon has begun to shift almost invisibly. A thin line of pale gray now touches the edge of the world where sea meets sky. Dawn is still far away, but it has begun its quiet approach. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. Your body feels deeply anchored, heavy in the most comforting way, as though the earth has drawn you closer, holding you in perfect balance. Your hands are warm and still. Your shoulders are loose. Your forehead is smooth. If a thought appears, it fades before fully forming, like foam dissolving into wet sand. The tide moves in, the tide moves out. Nothing demands your attention. Nothing interrupts this calm. Somewhere inside one of the small homes in the village, a clay pot cools beside a hearth that has long since gone dark. The scent of ash and spice lingers faintly in the air. A woven mat creaks softly as someone shifts in sleep, then settles once more. Everything is held in silence. Far inland, the temples of Hampi remain unchanged beneath the dimming moon. The river continues its patient journey, unbothered by the coming dawn. You feel both places at once now, the softness of sand, the steadiness of stone, the hush of waves, the murmur of the river. They blend together into a single gentle presence. Inhale, exhale. The first faint bird call echoes somewhere beyond the village. It is soft and uncertain, as though testing the air. Then silence returns. Night still holds its ground. The moon lingers, the stars remain, and you drift deeper. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You can rest now. The pale line at the horizon grows slightly brighter, though it is still subtle. The world has not yet changed color. The sea remains silver and dark. You feel suspended in this quiet space between night and morning, between dream and waking. But you do not need to wake. You can remain here, floating in the gentle rhythm of breath and tide. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. And as the sky slowly prepares for dawn, as temples inland and boats along the shore remain wrapped in calm, the sea keeps watch. The faint light of early dawn begins to stretch across the horizon, soft and delicate, like a whisper that the night is ready to rest. It does not rush. It does not demand attention. It simply begins to glow, tinting the sky with gentle hues of gray, silver, and the faintest hint of pale gold. You remain resting on the sand, aware only of comfort now. The tide has receded slightly farther, leaving a smooth mirror of wet sand that reflects the first hints of morning light. Your body feels anchored, heavy in the most comforting way, and your mind drifts in the same steady rhythm as the waves. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The village behind you in Karnataka is still sleeping. Windows are dark. Palm fronds sway gently. Fishing nets lie folded, undisturbed by anyone's touch. Even the smallest sounds, an owl stirring in the distance, a palm leaf brushing another are swallowed into the quiet. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. Far inland, beneath the same sky, the ancient city of Hampi lies still. Stone pillars are bathed in a soft silver glow. Courtyards remain empty. The Tungabhadra River flows calmly beside the ruins, carrying moonlight, starlight, and now the faint brush of dawn along its surface. River and sea, stone and sand, air and water. They are one gentle, endless rhythm. You rise slightly, though you feel no need to move. Your awareness drifts once more inland across the wide stone courtyards. The air smells faintly of earth, stone, and flowing water. You trace the edges of carved pillars with your eyes, noticing how time has softened their edges, how every groove holds a quiet story. There is no hurry, there is no need. The moon lingers overhead, fading slightly as dawn grows closer. Its light mingles with the first pale touches of morning, blending silver and gray and gold into a calm haze. Your breathing has grown softer, slower, almost imperceptible. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. A single firefly glimmers faintly near a stone archway. Another appears nearby, and then another. Their tiny lights drift gently across courtyards, dancing slowly, unpredictably, yet softly. You feel a sense of connection to them. Each light, each tiny movement mirrors the quiet rhythm inside you. The stone beneath you begins to soften again, becoming sand. The Tungabhadra River becomes the Arabian Sea. You are back on the shore. The tide brushes softly against your toes and retreats, brushing the sand smooth behind it. The air carries the faintest scent of salt and earth, blending with the last memory of night flowers and jasmine. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You are safe. Your body is heavy in the best possible way. Your hands are loose. Your legs are relaxed. Your shoulders have softened completely. Your mind drifts gently, free of tension or worry. Any thought that arises passes quickly, like a small leaf floating across the water. Inhale, exhale. A lone fishing boat rocks gently farther down the shore. The sound is faint, rhythmic, a quiet lullaby. You imagine the boat tied securely, drifting lightly with the waves, held in the patient care of the sea. Far inland, the temples of Hampi remain silent beneath the early light. Pillars stand tall, courtyards open, the river flows. Time itself seems to rest here. You can feel that same patience within yourself. No need to hurry, no need to wake, no need to do anything at all. Everything is calm. Everything is at rest. The tide moves slowly, like a gentle hand guiding you deeper into comfort. The first soft bird calls begin to echo faintly from the village. They are quiet, small, and tentative, testing the air for the day. Even these sounds are folded gently into the hush of morning. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. Your body sinks slightly more into the sand. Your breath grows longer, slower. Your thoughts scatter, drifting away, leaving only the vast calm of night blending into dawn. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. And through the slow, steady turning of the early hours, beneath the softening moon and the first hints of morning, the sea keeps watch. The horizon grows a little lighter now, soft strokes of pale gold and silver stretching across the sky. Dawn is still shy, lingering just at the edges, not yet bold enough to chase away the quiet of night. The waves move slowly, almost lazily, brushing the shore with the gentlest touch. You remain lying on the sand, held in perfect balance between night and morning. Your body feels heavier in the best possible way. Every muscle has softened, every joint relaxed. Your hands rest easily at your sides. Your legs are loose. Your shoulders have melted into the earth beneath you. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. The small coastal village in Karnataka continues to sleep. The rooftops are quiet. Windows remain dark. Even the occasional movement of a palm frond seems slower now, as if the earth itself is stretching gently in rest. Everything here is calm. Everything is at rest. The faint mist that clung to the shoreline last night has lifted slightly, leaving a soft silver haze that dances over the wet sand. Each tiny ripple of the tide reflects a hint of the first light, a soft shimmer that seems almost magical. In the distance, a fishing boat rocks ever so gently, tied securely to the shore. Its movements are slow and rhythmic, like a quiet lullaby from the sea itself. You feel your own breath matching its gentle rocking. Inhale, exhale. Far inland, beneath the same pale sky, the ancient stones of Hampi remain patient and still. The courtyard floors glimmer faintly in the early light. The pillars, tall and strong, stand like guardians of time, their carved details softened by centuries of wind and sun. The Tungabhadra River flows steadily beside the ruins, reflecting slivers of sky and moonlight, calm and untroubled. You sense the river even without seeing it. Its flow mirrors the gentle rhythm of the sea at your feet. River and sea, stone and sand, breath and tide. They are all part of the same calm, a single quiet rhythm that you have entered completely. The sand beneath you feels cool, comforting, supporting every curve of your body. You notice how your chest rises and falls effortlessly, how your breath flows in perfect harmony with the waves. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like the tide flowing out. A faint breeze drifts across the shore, brushing your skin lightly. It carries the soft scent of salt and earth, mingled with the last traces of jasmine drifting from the village. You feel entirely safe, held, supported. Even the smallest sounds, the gentle tapping of water against wood, a distant bird testing the morning air, the soft shifting of palm leaves, are absorbed into the quiet. Nothing is sharp. Nothing demands attention. Everything moves slowly, like a lullaby, like a whisper. The village is sleeping. The sea is breathing. You can rest now. The sky brightens imperceptibly, but dawn remains delicate. No harsh light disturbs the calm. The moon lingers faintly overhead, soft and watchful, as though reluctant to leave the night completely. The first few birds begin their morning songs, but even these are quiet and slow, folding gently into the sound of the waves. Your mind drifts. Thoughts, if they arise, pass like tiny clouds, moving across the vast sky of your awareness. There is nothing to chase, nothing to follow, only the rhythm of tide. You feel as though you are floating in both time and space. The village, the sea, the distant ruins, they are all part of your resting place, all part of the same gentle, unbroken calm. The tide rises slightly, brushing your toes in a soft caress, then withdraws. You notice it without needing to move. You feel held by the earth, cradled by the sand, carried by the rhythm of the sea itself. The village is sleeping, the sea is breathing. You are safe. And as the night slowly releases its hold, and the first pale gold of dawn begins to spread across the horizon, you drift ever deeper into rest, every part of your body and mind merging with the quiet, steady world around you. The sea keeps watch through the night end now. It watches as the day begins softly, gently, without hurry.